YouTube family was good. This is your boy Heru, the first son, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. I usually spend my Mondays nights here for work. You know, doing what I gotta do to keep things flowing while I try to get some other things going. I decided I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna do a little series, man. Kind of help y'all get to know me a little better. And, hopefully flesh out the brand a little bit. So I'm starting this video series. I'm gonna tell y'all about me. Tell you my story. Life story, if you will. I'm gonna bore you with every damn detail, but relevant ones. And as I go through the story, and just tell you things that I've learned, tell you stories, the story of my life, stories in my life, and things that I've learned from them. And I've been thinking about this for a while. This is really just an introductory video, but I'm trying to figure out like where to start, what to really focus on, all this weird shit. But I don't want to let indecision and overthinking paralyze me. So I'm just gonna get started and start from more or less the beginning of my adult life. But I'll give you a small background, childhood, shit like that. Born in New York, born in Queens, Fiorello LaGuardia Hospital. Raised in Brooklyn, mostly. Spent some time upstate in Rochester, New York. Came to North Carolina, came to Raleigh when I was like a sophomore high school or some shit. And kind of been here on and off, as my story will reveal, since. Grandma moved down to Raleigh in '88, and we used to go down for summers. And eventually all of her kids followed, trickled down, including my mom. So there it is. So I'll begin the story around where I became conscious. I probably started to become conscious late teens, maybe 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. The consciousness was indwelling, but I did have some foundational books, foundational literature that I would, suggest as recommended reading. Heru's reading list, if you will. But just to be funny, just be serious. Two of the foundational books to help build the foundation of what I like to call my mental edifice, the building of my mind, if you will, was Destruction of the Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams and The Metu Neter by a guy named Ra Nefer Amen, I believe. He's got a very Egyptian name, so it's a little difficult to recall at the moment. I probably have the book around here, at least the second volume. But anyway, suffice it to say. So I became conscious around that time. I started thinking about things, asking questions, asking some questions, foundational questions. Like, I used to ask my mother, I see, like me, my mother was kind of well off, so I'm not about to sit here and play the disenfranchised ghetto child thing. But I was a ghetto child because I was my mom's struggle child. I was her first. She is now a pediatrician, well established in her career, but at the time she was still building. So, I got to have a lot of experiences and see a lot of things that, I have one brother and one sister from my mom. They didn't get to see. They came way after me. I was pretty much the only child until I was 14, but I had my cousins. Okay. I don't want to overtalk that, just giving you some background. So, I got out of my mom's house maybe about 21, 22, age of 21, 22. It was about right at the year 2000, 1999 going into 2000. Uh, yeah. But before I get into that, the point of what I was saying earlier was that, I asked my mom questions like, why white people have everything and our people didn't. Because even though I wasn't the poor, destitute ghetto child, I was my mother's struggle child. So I did grow up in the ghetto. I was in Brooklyn, Crown Heights, Flatbush. You know what I'm saying? By the time we got down here, she was a little, things were a little different. But the funny thing is that she was just getting me out of New York to get away from certain things. It was all right here too, right there, I should say. So it was just interesting. I used to ask her stuff like that. She never had good answers that satisfied my soul, like, oh, they just... And she would say things like, God put them in power and you got to, just go with it, or things along those lines. And I'm just like, I'm not okay with that, considering the history that I've learned. Well, yeah. Yeah, so during the time close when I was about to leave out, I was leaving my mother's house because we weren't getting along, adolescent man child, grown older man child in the house, mom trying to move on, new relationship, new baby, this nigga, playing the the Mufasa role, trying to get rid of me and shit. And I'm like, shit, say no more. But, I had to put together a plan. This is where I started learning that how I can manifest, because I learned early by observing people that some people are like stars. No matter what you do, like you can give them nothing, they will always produce. And then some people are like black holes. No matter what you pour into them, nothing positive is going to come back out of them. I've seen relatives of mine get huge settlements for this or that occurrence and disappears. Guy like me though, my talent was taking very little and making it look like a lot. I always could stretch shit. So, I was with my first son's mother at the time, and we were kind of fresh out of high school. I wasn't getting along with my moms. I was just like, I'm out. I put together a plan. I found me a little job that I could tolerate, and I ended up being a driving job, and I'm a driver to this day as far as my job goes, because it was the first job I ever found that I didn't hate. I had a cool redneck boss. He ain't stressed me about every minute and every second. And, he let me rock. So they paid like shit, though. They paid shit. I was probably making $7.50 an hour at the time. I mean, it was over minimum wage for the day, but $7.50. So anyway, after that, got the job, had a plan, saved up some money to get a car. Got a car, got out the house. Had my girl, go find an apartment, because I had already got myself my first F on my jacket. And so, I didn't feel like dealing with the headache of trying to explain that with these people, trying to rent an apartment. So I had her go get it. And, she had tension in her house with her mom. So she jumped on board. She was like, yo, I ain't gonna live there with you, but I'll help you maintain the shit because I'll be needing a safe haven to get away from my mom's and shit too. I was like, all right, cool. So I got the spot and I was rocking that job. It was going well. And one of the first things I did, because I had started making beats by my senior year of high school, spent a little extra time in high school too. So, um, I had been harassing my homeboy. Like, I'm always over his crib. And, we had, and for a while it was cool. But eventually I was just probably too much. He was like, I be wanting to do other shit. You in the way. And we got into it one day. I'm like, fuck that. Get my own shit. And that's what I did. Oh, yeah. That's my nigga to this day. It was just one of the things niggas go through. No bad blood. But, yeah, it was a good thing for me. Because, nigga, you got to get your own. And my brother, you got to get your own. And that's what I did. So when, got the new spot, I got the spot. First thing I did was go get my MPC. And the day I was bringing that shit home that I bought it, this kid in the neighborhood seen the box in my hand. First, he was like, you make beats? I'm like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, da-da-da-da-da. And that started a lot. That was the beginning of a very long of a story, So, I set up my studio in the crib, and him and his homeboys used to come through. I was really getting busy now because I had my own setup, and this was like brand new thing, and I could just give it my all, and it was a burst of creativity. 2000 was like dawn of Heru. Like, I was kicking out fire track after fire track after fire track, and that was just my thing. I just loved that shit, but I didn't have the business mind yet, So I used to have niggas would come through and sit in there, and everybody turn the beats on, everybody could take their pen and pad out, and they start looking down, they writing, and next thing you know, everybody started looking around at each other like, anybody got no weed? So nobody got no weed. And I always kept weed because I worked. And I had a system. I bought my little quarter or whatever for the week and smoked, and that was that. You know what I mean? And weed cost a lot less back then, but and he wasn't gonna smoke up my weed, so I had to turn everything off. We had to go out, hit the streets of Raleigh, go find some weed, and this was a consistent problem. So after a while, I had the bright idea, you know what? Let me just keep a little extra weed around. And that's what I did. And, anytime niggas came to the studio and that shit pops up, just buy some weed from me and we keep it pushing. Problem solved. Well, not too long after that, me being a young, foolish man, I didn't like the idea of car insurance. I used to drive around without it all the time. You could get away with it back then. To an extent. And the inevitable eventually happened. Got hit a couple times, drive without insurance, lost my license. And you guessed it, job had to go with it. So now I'm fucked up. And I'm like, ain't no way I'm going to live back with my moms. That shit is dead. I can't get along with them folk. So guess I gotta open the herb business up to the public, because at that time it was just for studio goers. So I opened my herb business up to friends and family and so on, close associates. I tried to keep the people in the immediate neighborhood that I lived in from knowing, which was destined to fail. But that was the thing. And one day they found out, and a whole bunch of shit manifested from there. But that's for the next episode. Got to keep these videos short. I know people don't have a very long attention span. Holla at me if you feeling this first installment. Subscribe. All of that shit that niggas be saying on every other video. Hit the link below. Whatever. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hey, more than anything, check out that music while you're here if you're checking this out, man. You know what I'm saying? Real hip-hop shit. Also, got a book out called Dark Truths. Amazon online, Barnes and Noble's online, Amazon, a lot of other places. You know, look me up, Heru the First Son. It's my trade name. Everything I do is up under that. And, you know, to be continued, man. This story gets interesting. Rock with me. Peace, y'all.